Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So, what's this video all about? It's about the TOR railgun tank, which I'm going to call the TOR from here on out throughout the video, and how I personally recommend it should be played and configured. Now, yes, the TOR can take out air vehicles, and believe me, we're going to get to that in just a second, but the vision I want to sell here is that first and foremost, the TOR is a fast-moving anti-vehicle and increasingly anti-personnel assassin, particularly since it got the canister shot as a primary and secondary weapon. If I could leave you with one message in this video, no matter how far you get through it, it's that the TOR should be anywhere but camped on your backline in siege mode. That is such a waste of the vehicle, and I'm going to try and convince you of that. So before we begin the video in proper and start going through the structure, a bit of housekeeping. First of all, throughout this entire video, I'm using more rounds. These are the heavier hitting, slightly longer to charge rounds. I don't like the hammer rounds. If you want to use the hammer rounds, just please keep in mind it may take a few more shots than what you're seeing here in the video to kill a vehicle. And as always, I always say this is just my opinion on how I think the TOR should be played. I'm not the law. Play the way that works for you. Leave your suggestions if you think I could be doing something better, if you think I'm making some mistakes. Let's have a discussion. The main thing is to have fun. Alright, disclaimers out the way, let's get into the structure. Okay, so in part one, and one of the justifications for even making this video, are the very significant changes to anti-air that were introduced in Season 6. We'll go through it in more detail, but basically you need to take into account the distance from the target and what that target is, and the angle of elevation of your barrel. The former affects your damage, the latter affects the speed of your projectile. Anecdotally, watching and listening to players in my lobbies, a lot of people don't seem to understand this and they're getting very confused why, for example, an attack helicopter that's over 400 meters away isn't getting one shot. In part 2, I want to get right to the heart of this video and really push the vision about how I think the TOR should be played. The TOR can flank an entire enemy force and get right behind the AA before they even know anything happened. Not every map is good for flanking though, and on ones like Stranded, like you're seeing here, or on Spearhead, what you want to do is take the mid-ground, really take advantage of your range, and then just punish the hell out of the enemy armor that you see rolling down.
One of their tanks! Alright!
Don't forget to equip APS, guys, it's an absolute must. Right, in part 3, I want to give my sincere deep thanks to the devs that gave us the primary weapon Canister Shot, because it is bloody lethal. Equipping the Canister Shot on the primary and the secondary is just a must. It makes you so effective at shredding infantry, pushing objectives, and staying alive when pesky infantry are trying to swarm you. It also makes sneaking up on the TOR way more dangerous these days. It's even more dangerous because the EMP doesn't shut down weapons anymore. I tried to get that guy again, and if you watch, look, I'm sure he turned away. I'm sure he turned the turret away. Evidently not. And finally, the canister shot is lethal against soft-skinned targets like nightbirds. As I'll show you, you can get a lot of vehicle kills doing that. Right, in part 4, I want to start talking about some of the TOR's weaknesses that you should always have in mind when you're playing it, such as, but not limited to, the pretty unique vulnerability the TOR has to EMPs, be it from an EMP grenade or from being hacked. It's one of only 2 vehicles that are totally paralyzed when it gets hit by an EMP. I covered that off in a recent video. If you'd like to know more, go check it out. Now, the other unique weakness the TOR has, is that it can expend its ammunition far more quickly than it can regenerate it, more so than any other vehicle in the game. So what you're seeing here in the bottom right is, if you don't keep a track on it, you could very easily end up getting into an engagement when you don't have any rounds, and it takes over 12 seconds for a round to come round again. So you really need to be wary of that and check before you commit. In part 5, I just want to share a few notes about TOR versus every other major vehicle in the game, for example the CAV. 2 shots in the side of a CAV and you take it out, and as my friend is demonstrating here, EMPing a CAV with a secondary seat is completely pointless, so don't even waste your time, it does nothing to the vehicle. Also, a little reminder if you didn't know, APS is completely useless against the railgun shot.
Behind.
At the other end of the spectrum, you've got the Ram, one of the most dangerous vehicles to pair up against the TOR. If they start taking advantage of their speed and literally running rings around you at close range and your turret can't keep up, you're going to have a bad time, so try to fight them at range. Though that's not always your choice. And then of course there's Tor versus Tor, the mirror match. I'll save my best footage for the end, but I just really like this kill.
Yes!
I do like Crawford's voice lines, but anyway, that will then bring us to the end, and you know what? I'll save my opinion, my wrap up. This is a longer than average video. If you make it, I'm pretty sure I understand what I'm saying. Let's get into it. Okay, Season 7 AA mechanics, let's break this down. To get a one-shot kill on a Nightbird, a jet, or a stealth heli, the vehicle must be within 330 meters of you, and you must be using a more round, or it will not be a one-hit kill. I was very lucky to get this on camera. This jet was exactly 330 meters away from me. If you don't have your eye in yet for distances, I strongly recommend pinging the target like you see there, so you can begin to get a bit of an appreciation on what 330 meters actually means, to help you make a decision about whether it's worth it or not to take a shot, especially if you're in a built-up map where there's only a narrow window of opportunity.
Oh, magic!
If you're going after an attack helicopter, keep in mind it has to be within 280 meters or less of you if you want that one shot.
You're beautiful!
Another one I was lucky to get on camera. If you are even 1 meter over the maximum range, no one-hit kill for you. Watch this one in slow motion, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Lucky I had the canister shot to finish him off. But look, if you're going to fire from a mid to long range distance, just keep in mind it's now going to take 2 consecutive hits to be able to finish off the vehicle, whether using the more round or not. And you know how good you are. For me personally, I can hit 2 shots in a row, but it's a fairly rare occurrence. But if you're better than me, have at it. All power to you. The next thing to understand is the impact that the barrel elevation has on the speed of your projectile. Now the first speed, anything with a 6-degree elevation or below, is absolutely no different from how it used to be prior to Season 6. Have fun and enjoy.
Yeah, that's it! That's it!
Now I've personally changed my playstyle to try to limit my shots to an elevation of 6 or 7 degrees and only go for aerial vehicles which are either 1, within the maximum distance for a one-hit kill, or 2, I've identified as being clearly damaged that I only need to hit it once to get the kill. Exceptions to that are slow-moving vehicles like you're seeing here, like the Hind or the Condor, which below 6 degrees are dead easy to hit.
Vehicle disabled!
And remember, you can use the terrain to your advantage, just drive up a little bit of rock to prevent you elevating the barrel above 6 degrees.
Nice!
Now between 7 and 12 degrees of elevation, the speed of the projectile begins to drop off to a maximum of 50%. Now when the target's relatively close, 430 meters, and we have an elevation of 8 degrees,
I love this!
not seeing a massive difference there, so let's break this down a bit. Here comes another helicopter. Now as you can see, I'm below 6 degrees. I just have a little bit of a lead on the shot, and here we go. 0.25 seconds to hit. The helicopter rises a little bit into the air, and now we have a higher elevation. Now we're at 9 degrees. Here goes the shot. Boom. 0.4 of a second. So basically, when you're close and you're only at about 8 degrees, it doesn't make a big difference. What if you're going for the true long shot? So here we've got a vehicle that's just over 1 kilometer away with an elevation of 3 on the barrel. The shot's clear, and as you can see, it takes roughly 0.65 of a second to get across and hit the target. Now, rather conveniently, we're going to hold the distance exactly the same. The Condor just goes up in the air, and we raise the elevation of the barrel to 8 degrees. Let's see what difference this makes.
We're doing this!
Now, a flight time of 1 second is something I consider quite material. To close out, when you go above 12 degrees, your projectile will only go half of its original speed. Now, if the aircraft is right up close like you're seeing there, it makes no difference. Take your shot. Honestly, when you're at a distance of even 500 meters, truthfully, this mechanic doesn't make a massive impact on the game. The key message I would take away from all of this is twofold. First, if you can, try to prioritize your shots against vehicles which are within the maximum one-hit kill distance, because getting a double tap is actually quite difficult. Second, if you're going to fire long range, which I consider to be distances of 800-900 meters or more, it's going to get very hard if you elevate the barrel above 6 degrees. So all in all, I think DICE has done a pretty good job here. They've stopped the worst of the spawn camping, but haven't taken away the incentive to shoot at air vehicles. Good job. Right, let's move on to my personal favorite, going after ground vehicles. Okay, so for me, this is what it's all about if you're going to play TOR, and let's open up by talking about flanking. So as you can see, this is the beginning of the round on Kaleidoscope. You can see that from the score on the bottom left. No stopping for objectives, rush for that back line, nice wide flank, and take out their AA. Remember to put those shots in the side or the rear armor if you can, but seriously guys, it's amazing how many teams just rush forward for the nearest objectives to get those points, leaving their flanks completely open.
Hostile tank, 130 meters.
Despite my best efforts to convince people to do otherwise, it's amazing to me still how the majority of Wildcat players hang out at the back, where there's absolutely nobody to protect them. By far, the best maps to flank on are Kaleidoscope, Hourglass, and Discarded. The maps are significantly larger, square in shapes rather than long rectangles, super easy to get around the enemy team, at any stage of the game. If you're playing a map like Manifest, Spearhead, Renewal, where you're forced to go down very narrow channels, it's actually better, I think, to try and occupy the mid-ground if you're in the TOR. Really take advantage of your range and your speed to back away if you're getting too much pressure or you need some time to reload. So again, as with the flank you just saw, this is pretty much at the beginning of the round, and look at the advantage that a TOR holding the mid-ground is creating for our team. We've completely shut in the armor, there's nothing these guys can do, and we're about to get a massive advantage on the captures.
Ready with the support drop. I know your stopper!
So a little bit of a time skip here just to reload our shots. You can see that our team's already broken through and is now capturing A1, and this fight's pretty much already in the bag, even though it's only a few minutes in.
Perfect!
I won't make you watch the slow drawn out death. Let's move on to something new. So here's a slightly different one, playing on Discarded, still holding the mid-ground as a strategy, but you can see from the scores on the left, we're on the back foot. I got the TOR quite late in this round, so we're just beginning the pushback to try and shut in their armor and try and flip this round, and something quite fun happened. I wanted to kill their TOR, but unexpected outcome. The kill shot ended up killing the driver who got out to repair. There's 2 people in my TOR, so we've got an opportunity to hijack and steal the tank off them for the rest of the round. Not gonna lie, we were losing, so I went back to the back line and made damn sure they didn't get their tank back for the rest of the game. But to close this out and key message, the TOR is absolutely built to target ground vehicles from the mid-ground. Aside from another TOR, there's nothing that can beat it, even cheeky engineers who are trying to sneak up on you and get a kill. Popping smoke right in my face is a massive red flag that there's somebody nearby and I need to look for them.
Our troops have lost an objective.
Enemy neutralized.
Delta sector is under American.
But yeah, once the TOR is in position like this, it's very hard to get your ground vehicles out and into the match.
Hostile armor spotted.
There is, I'd say, one exception to the sort of rule of mine about occupying the mid-ground, and that's when you notice the other team's line has broken, and you've got the opportunity to drive deep and go right up to the back line and cause some trouble. The key thing here is to cause as much damage as you can, but don't overstay your welcome and know when it's time to fall back.
Alright. Tank trail, right?
If the tank turns up and you've
Right
got
there.
3 shots in hand, you should definitely go for it before you turn around and fall back to reload. As I say, don't overstay your welcome. Fall back. Right, I think my last thing to say about this section is don't forget that what occupies the mid-ground and shuts your armor in is exactly the same as what can break your armor out if you're being pinned. So you'll note when I came in the TOR, we were in the process of losing A2 and A1 was getting pushed. We've managed to flip that now, secure this sector, and even though I think we went on to lose the round, at least we managed to turn it into a bit of a fight and make him sweat a little bit, and you know, sometimes that's the best you can hope for. Anyway, we've reached the end of section 2. If you're still here, thanks for your patience, and I hope I've managed to convince you or reinforce your belief that the TOR is not primarily an anti-aircraft gun, it's actually an anti-vehicle armor hunter, and it's a ridiculously good one. So let's move on to take a look at its new role, anti-personnel. Right, the Canister Shot, and this is probably the biggest change with Season 6 because it's completely changed the way the TOR plays. Giving the driver access to the Canister Shot really allows them to stand their ground against infantry, engineers and the such that are trying to press them in a way they never could before. I would never have survived all of this with a machine gun. As a rule, I try to stay away from making too many definitive statements, but the Canister Shot, I have to say, it's just a no-brainer. You must equip it as soon as you've unlocked it. Let me be quiet for a second and just let it speak for itself.
Sector Delta has fallen to hostile. We are hitting them for life. Damn it!
For me at least, the Canister Shot has really improved my ability to go and actually push objectives in the TOR. You've always been able to do that. I mean, there's never been an excuse for hanging back on the backline and not participating. But now, you're just that much more useful at doing it. So after doing a lot of the work here to thin the herd, we finally managed to break through into the objectives, and you'll see in this little transition when the score flips, how basically a TOR in here chewing everybody up played a massive role in flipping the fight.
Hostile down!
This now brings us into the sequence you saw in the introduction, so I'm just going to cut the camera here and know that the rampage continued.
Tango down!
Changing gear quickly, the Canister Shot both on the primary and as you saw there, on the secondary, is actually very good at taking out soft-skin targets like nightbirds and stealth helicopters. It can also do reasonable damage against attack helicopters, as you're going to see.
Oh, sorry, it didn't kill it though. Or if I kill it, you're
As you can hear, my friend's getting a little bit cocky after taking out the stealth helicopter with his shotgun. But yeah, it's absolutely brilliant, guys. I mean, I've managed to put this to really good use. I hope you are as well. If you see a vehicle that's close, go for it with the Canister Shot. You'll do quite a bit of damage to it. Sometimes it's just enough to tip it.
Wonderful!
And let's just close out with this one, which I thought looked really, really cool. I've only ever seen this once.
Oh, he jumped off, you pussy. I EMP'd it, I EMP'd it. Yeah, fuck on that.
Australians are scary, man. Right, that brings us to part 4, weaknesses, and the TOR has quite a few actually. In addition to being one of only 2 vehicles that is completely immobilized when it's hit by an EMP, the slow turret rotation combined with the long charge time makes it very difficult to hit a vehicle that's in your face or to escape. If you specifically notice a TOR that's causing your team a problem and you want to go hunt it down on foot, it's actually not a bad idea to bring an EMP grenade with you.
Delta 2 targeted. Attack.
Enemy vehicle destroyed!
And you know what? I'm going to say this, very much connected with part 1. Another weakness the TOR has is spawn camping. Now that you can't take out air vehicles outside of the maximum distance, if you shoot and you miss like this fellow here, we're coming straight for you. And there's very, very little the TOR can do about it once a helicopter's above you. And don't think Irish trophies are going to help you if the pilot knows what they're doing, because the 30mm secondary gun will just tear straight through them.
Eyes right!
Think twice before drawing attention to yourself like that. And now to the weakness which has probably caused me personally the most amount of trouble, and that is not keeping an eye on how much ammo you've got. As mentioned in the intro, the TOR consumes ammunition far more quickly and is able to regenerate it far more so than any other ground vehicle, and the TOR can really become a victim of its own success if it's taking out a lot of vehicles, being aggressive, and forgets to give itself a moment to reload. Just an aside, a quick funny, for this reason, do think twice before sniping at players. I mean, if they're being a route and spotting you like this chap here, or sniping away at you, yeah, take them out, but
250 meters
try to
away.
reserve your rounds for vehicles. Let the little snipers that can't really do anything to you, just let them be. They're not worth the shot. Okay guys, we're on the home straight. If you're still here, I'm impressed. Not even my wife can put up with me for this long in one sitting. It's really not possible to feel anything other than sorry for main battle tanks which come up against the TOR, because there is literally nothing they can do against active protection. I would suggest in terms of ammunition and managing your cooldowns, you should always expect the fight to take 3 shots to pull down a main battle tank. Although if you get them in the side or from the rear, it can take less. Rather than repeating it here, if you want to see some strategies as an MBT on how to fight the TOR, check out this video. You'll see a couple of suggestions where I've managed to pull it off. But honestly, you kind of have to rely on someone intervening or the TOR player screwing up.
Yep, he coming around the corner. I'm gonna hit him with the whatchamacallit. That does anything to piss him off.
Hostile tank, 90 meters away from your position.
Nice. Nice one.
Yeah, I mean, they got nothing. You probably clocked by now, having watched this video, that all it takes to down a Wildcat is 2 shots from any direction, front, side or rear, so there's really no mystery to it. When you see them, just take a shot. The only thing to be mindful of is maybe, like me, the Wildcat player likes to take anti-tank missiles, but your active protection and indeed thermal smoke should be more than enough to deal with that. Similarly with CAVs, 2 shots to the side, even 1 in the rear if they've taken a little bit of damage is all it takes to take them out. Just be mindful that if you face them head on, they have very thick front armor, so that will be 3 shots like an MBT, so try not to take a CAV head on if you can avoid it. Now, this brings us to where things start to get a little bit harder. MAVs are actually very difficult for a CAV because their front armor can take, no joke, 4 direct hits from a Moor round without going down. Which means, first of all, you're likely to run out of ammo like you're seeing here. Second, your APS cooldown won't be long enough to protect you from the 50 cal barrage that's coming your way. And third, MAVs don't have active protection, which means they're using repair, so if they time it well, it can be a big problem. If you're going to take on a MAV, keep this in mind. 1, active protection can protect you from everything, but you need to kill the MAV before the active protection runs out, which means you have to hit them from the side or the rear. Now the EMP can really help you with this, because the MAV, like the TOR, is uniquely affected in that it's totally paralyzed and will prevent them from turning their front armor towards you.
Under attack by hostiles.
I'll just say it again with this clip. Remember, if you're going to push objectives, APS is an absolute must, guys. Don't leave home without it. You will not survive. Okay, now we're moving into Nemesis tier. 2 shots anywhere on the ram with a Moor round and it's done, but as you're going to see here, that's easier said than done. Just remember, you can take your finger off the trigger at any time before you shoot. You're not committed just because you started charging. Really take your time and try and find the moment to hit it. You can see me winding up the gun, trying to get ready for him coming around the corner, but he never did.
Our forces have secured Sector Charlie.
Rams can be such a pain, man. But yeah, there's no mystery to this. Try to keep them at as long a range as possible, because that just makes it easier for you to hit them. Although speed is speed, and again, just remember, take your time. Don't rush the shot.
Yes!
Now the other one you need to watch out for is a good bolt player, and here's why. Check this out. You see how they tried to take advantage of their speed to drop the AT mines on top of me? When you see a bolt coming at you like that, you must reverse, you must back away, otherwise you're going to go kaboom. Now I'm going to be honest, I'm actually quite lucky that this 2-person bolt didn't actually bring a 50 cal or a tow with them, because I could have been in trouble. Especially if they'd have brought the 50 cal. But as with the ram, they're damn fast, and again, don't rush. Take your moment, find the time to hit them. 2 shots and they're dead.
Nice!
And now we face the god tier opponent, another TOR. All the strengths that you have, everything that's good about your vehicle is good about theirs as well. Your APS counts for nothing. Basically, who shot first? who's better and who gets lucky that no one else intervenes against them.
Enemy tank sighted. 200 meters. One of their tanks.
Charlie, get targeted.
TOR fights can also be really messy when they end up at point blank range like this one here. Interventions from both sides, but that broad shot in the side just tipped it in my favor. But I'll close out with this one. For me, this is the embodiment of what a TOR versus TOR fight can be, particularly when you mess up and you're losing. This is bad because 1, they shot first, and 2, I hit him in the front, but he hit me in the side. Then it gets even worse because I just missed. Obviously, the smart thing for me to do here is hide, but it's pretty obvious they're going to push. It's what I would do. Managed to knock the kill shot into the sky, so I've still got a chance.
Let's hear it.
Some might say a little dishonorable, but you know what? I've still got my tank and he doesn't.
Took objectives fast. Now they
Okay, so if you made it this far, you probably noticed something. At absolutely no point in this video did I ever use siege mode, and did I ever sit on my back line. I have every intention that this is going to be my last video on this topic, so I'm just going to say it. Don't do it. It is such a waste of a TOR. You are not helping anybody sitting in siege mode, taking pot shots from across the map. You need to be pushing objectives, taking advantage of your speed, getting in there and helping your team. And I really hope that this video has proved the point. As I mentioned in my last video, this is me wrapping up my videos for 2042. I love this game, I'm going to continue to play it, but I hope you found it useful, not too opinionated, and thank you very much for your consideration, particularly if you sat through the entire thing. I hope you found it useful. Take care guys, have a great weekend, happy TOR playing, and remember, get in there, please don't sit on the back line. Catch you later.
Yes.